Andy Vences, thank you very much for coming onto theboxingbar.com and welcome, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Andy, first of all, let's get to know you a bit. Where were you born and raised?
I was actually born in Watsonville, but I was pretty much raised in San Jose. I moved to San Jose when I was about 8, 9 years old, and I've been living here ever since.
Watsonville has some pretty crazy areas, if you know what I mean. What was it like being raised there in Watsonville, if you remember?
It's a rough town just because it's like I like to say like small Mexico. The majority is Hispanics, and we were as a kid I wasn't allowed to go certain alleyways by the house, and I always was around my parents. But I was always out with my cousins at the house in the backyard. But as a kid, younger than 8 years old, I didn't really go out too much alone just because they wouldn't let me. But yeah, it's a great place, but it has a lot of rough areas as well.
Being around like a place with rough areas like that, did that in a way kind of toughen you up too as a kid, or did you kind of stay away from all that?
I feel like I didn't really go and experience that too much in Watsonville, but as a kid, when I moved to San Jose, just going to school and getting approached on by people that I guess you could say, that are from the hood, who carry themselves in a street manner. I was always approached, but at the same time, I was confused when I got approached as to why me. Why am I being targeted? I felt like I was always the one targeted. I just would observe people and they would take it like I was trying to provoke something. So at a young age, when I moved to San Jose, my first fight was like in fifth grade, and it was at that point that I figured like this is pretty much survival of the fittest. And I was always getting approached on in school, so I had to do some. I wanted to learn and do something and kind of be able to defend myself.
What about your home life? Was that pretty? Were you guys pretty close as a family there at home, or?
Oh yeah, at home it was good. I'm not gonna elaborate too much, but I'll say my parents are divorced now. But we did see a lot of things growing up between our parents. But I guess that's the past now. But I guess you could say we've seen both sides of our parents and how it can get.
Were you pretty good as a student?
Yeah, I was great as a student. I started boxing at about 13. When I started boxing, my mom used to always tell me, if I don't have A's and B's, you're not going to go boxing. So I would make sure my grades were A's and B's. She would let maybe one C pass. Even throughout high school, I had A's and B's. So yeah, I had to keep my grades up, or I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to the gym. So she got me on that one.
Oh, that's a smart mom right there. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Sometimes like that discipline, when you throw some kind of discipline like that and you do say, hey, you know what, you have to keep your grades up and stuff like that, I'm sure that helps you out as a young man also. It helps you out to grow up to be a good young man and a responsible young man as well.
Oh yeah, just with life and everything I do right now, I'm super responsible. I get things done at the time they need to be done. I remember going to high school and middle school was hard, waking up at like 5, 6 in the morning to go run. I would go to school, go to practice, and then stay up late to finish the homework. I don't know how I did it, but I was able to do it. Sometimes I was very sleepy throughout the day, but I just continued to do what I do. And now in my life, I feel I'm very well organized with my schedule. If I need to go to, as I train in Stockton now at a San Jose, it's an hour and a half drive. So I'm able to calculate the drive to the gym, train at the gym, come back, and it's taught me a lot about scheduling and managing my time as much as I can throughout the day. So I thank her for that, though.
Awesome. How did boxing come into your life?
I was introduced to fighting in fifth grade when I had that fight that I told you about. At that time, my dad put me in martial arts. He used to do martial arts himself, so I was in martial arts at about 10 years old, and I was actually going there for about 2 years, but I liked the whole fighting aspect. I just didn't like that we never really competed. And I remember it was the whole boxing idea sparked when I forgot who De La Hoya was fighting on a pay-per-view. We were at a family house. We used to always watch boxing fights at the family, and it was just one day after practicing martial arts, I realized I didn't want to do that. I wasn't flexible. I wasn't really too into the martial arts. So I didn't know how you could start boxing. I didn't know it even exists. I didn't even know how you start as an amateur and then go pro. I just didn't know. But I had asked my dad, I want to do boxing. Can I do that? And it was at that moment he told me, "Look, I don't mind. I'll support you 100% in everything you do, but if I don't see improvement in a month, I'm going to take you out because you don't play boxing." And ever since I joined the boxing gym, he saw that I was so into it that I would push him to take me every day. And after my first amateur fight, he saw that I won, and ever since I was there, and he supported me 150%.
And when you did finally find this boxing gym and or that direction of how to get there and how to start doing that, what attracted you to keep going back every day? I mean, what was it about this boxing gym that just that called for you, I guess?
To be honest, it was something that I loved doing. It was like a passion. I mean, it was I wanted to go every day. I remember class was over and they had a second class, and I would stay all through the second class, learning how to hit the crazy bag, learning how to hit the speed bag. I just wanted to be there. I felt like 2 hours was like 30 minutes. It would go by so quick, and I just loved fighting. Got into more fights during that time, and I realized how useful it is. And I just love the whole aspect of you have your hands, I have my hands. It's more like a gentleman's sport where you just fight with hands, no dirtiness. Just let's see what you have and what I have, and see who comes out on top.
Did it bring out that
That
confidence in you also, like to be more confident in yourself just overall?
Oh yeah, I just felt it was for me. Like I feel fighting is for me. I feel I have that strength when things are not going well to just dig deep from everything I've been through. And yeah, for sure, it definitely taught me a lot of confidence as well in myself.
What was it like the first time you went up there to spar? Let's say, were you pretty scared at that?
You know what? The first time I sparred was the worst sparring I ever had in my life. I remember I didn't know my stance right. I didn't know. I wanted to spar though. I wanted to spar, so they put me in with a guy who had been there for about a year and a half, 2 years. And the way I would stand was square, so it didn't matter what hit me. I was gonna fall because my feet were standing up, just like when you're talking to someone, you're standing. I was standing in that position like that. So sure enough, any shot that hit me, I fell down just because I was off balance. That day I went home and I was very sad and disappointed. But it was at that moment I said I want to learn that. I just didn't give up. I wanted to. I was always so competitive. I wanted to always win. So yeah, and then a couple months, maybe half a year later, I was hanging in with that same guy, and he had been there longer than me. And yeah, it was just always so competitive and dedicated. My work ethic was, I think, one of the best.
And what was your overall amateur record? When you close that out.
My amateur record, I had a late start, so I had a lot of up and downs in my amateur career, but I had about 75 wins with about, I'd say, 20 something losses. I had a lot of losses with the same guys I had fought. I fought the same guy like 4 times, another guy like 3 times. But yeah, I would say I had a late start, and I was just always ruled decisions that sometimes I didn't think were fair, but I just kept moving forward. Like 90 fights.
You just brought up that you felt like you were robbed at a lot of fights. What do you think of that judging and the amateur system? How would you grade it?
It's a good system, but sometimes I feel kids are cheated. When I see kids that are cheated when they deserve to win, it's not only that, oh, okay, the kid could move forward, he'll get over it. It's that these kids are working hard day in and day out, not earning any money, and it's kind of like they've put everything on the line to win that fight. So when a decision is ruled badly, especially in a very important tournament, it just really takes a toll. It's going to make the kids stronger in the long run, but at the same time, sometimes it's not fair. And I feel there needs to be a change somehow. I don't know how the change should be, but they should have maybe one judge overrule the decisions. But yeah, if something does need to change, I don't think it's fair. A lot of the times, a lot of kids are getting robbed. You hear about it all the time. That it's kind of like it's like normal now. But
Absolutely. And you were such a standout. I mean, you won a Golden Gloves gold medal. 2010, 11, and 12. I mean, you were just ready for to go on to the next level and become a pro. At what point did you realize it was time?
at about 20 years old, I went to, they had a USA Boxing Reload tournament. So this tournament was to qualify to go to the Olympic trials, whoever had won. So I said, okay, this is it. I've been wanting to go to the Olympic trials. I've been trying all these tournaments. They finally give the last chance, which was a reload tournament. So I told myself, if I don't win this tournament or if I don't make it, that's it. I'm going pro. And I think I had one of the worst robberies of my life at that tournament. I won the first day, and then the second day I fought the number 2 seed, who's actually 19-0 right now, signed the top rank. His name's Toka Clary Khan. I fought him for the second time, and I was up. They used to have computer scoring back then, so you would actually see if you're ahead. Every round, you would come to the corner and you would see, okay, yeah, you're up 3 points, you're up 4 points. So the first round I fought, I'm up 3 points. The next round, I'm up 3 points. Pretty much the first 2 rounds means I won the whole round. I was up 3 points both rounds. So going into the last round, I was like, okay, I got it. But he's a number 2 seed, so he's obviously favored. So going into the last round, we had a great last round. It was a great fight. And I think the score was tied. It was either, I think it was like 13 or 16 something. It was tied though. And so they go to when it's a tied score in computer scoring, they go to the punch counts of who threw more punches, which I knew that. So I figured, I got it. I won the first 2 rounds. How is it that he could throw more punches than me if I won both rounds? It's 2-1. I know I got it. So I was very confident and happy. And they announced him as the winner, and it was at that moment where I just kind of broke down and just couldn't believe it. And the guy knew he lost. He went to the locker room and wasn't happy. He was looking at his video footage. And I told him, you lost that fight. That wasn't your fight. And I just walked away. But it was at that moment I said, I'm done. This is it.
And you said that was Toka Clary. Actually, I had him on right before his pro debut, and actually he fought on his last card that you fought on
He did.
under the solo book sales. So that's kind of crazy. I didn't know all this. So you go on and become pro. What was that like for you? That transition from an amateur to a pro?
It was my first time, no headgear, smaller gloves, but I felt the pro was always for me. And in my amateur fights, I always had a better finish or a late start, and I felt the pro was always waiting for me. It was just a matter of time. But yeah, no, the transition was, I think it was great. I think it was for me. I think I really needed that transition to just make me a better fighter.
In that first fight, it was at the historical Memorial Auditorium there in Sacramento, where so many legends fought, guys like, Tony the Tiger Lopez and, these guys from back in the day. What did it feel like fighting there, in that venue and that type of venue with that crazy crowd probably that you guys had out there that night? What was it like that night for you inside the ring?
Yeah, it was I was very antsy, very, very nervous, I think TV was there that night, so, and, Jorge Linares was fighting, and I think it was the main event. So I think it was a lot of pressure. I had a lot of family that went out just to see my first pro fight. It was very exciting. I was very antsy to get in there and very focused on what I had to do, knowing that no mistakes here, This is everything I worked for is right here.
Did you always have the same team from the beginning to now, or, was there changes here and there?
Oh, I had a great change in my pro career. I went through so many things to get to the skill level where I'm at now. I actually turned pro with the first coach I had at San Jose PAL. I turned pro with Martin Nunez. He was my coach for my first 3 pro fights. But I always had Gabe Flores he's my trainer now. I always had him as a mentor, directing me the right way as far as, well, you're missing this, or you're missing that. So at that point, he told me, he was observing me, my improvement, and my manager was as well. And they told me, you need to work on some defense. You're not going to go far if you're sometimes trading one-on-one and kind of taking these shots. You need to learn this, you need to learn that. So Gabe Flores, my trainer, he directed me to another trainer at Undisputed, Brian Schwartz. He said, hey, I think, he didn't know him personally, but he just said, I think you should go over there and learn some defense and just get better. So after my 3rd pro fight, I moved to Undisputed. They had Nonito Donaire. They have a lot of guys right now. So I had went there, and I did improve. I improved a lot on my defense, up leading to my 7th fight, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th fight. So I had about 4 fights with Undisputed, but what was my mentor before, Gabe Flores, it was still something missing. I was fighting guys that I should have took out sooner instead of them hanging with me. So he told me, you need to learn more. I don't know, what does he teach? What are they teaching you? What are you doing? Like these guys that are hanging in with you 3 rounds, they should be out in the first round. Like you have to separate yourself to be an elite fighter. And he was just a huge mentor. And it got to the point, he was all the way in Stockton. That's an hour and a half drive from where I'm at. But I told him I want to train with him. I'm willing to train with him and get better. I wanted to get better. I was always hungry to get better. So I parted ways with Undisputed, with Gabe Flores. And ever since, it's been the best change of my life. I drive 3 hours on the road to train, but it's worth the 3 hours more than anything, Every fight I've had with Gabe Flores has been a knockout except my last fight that I had. So just a huge improvement. It was hard parting ways with my first coach. There was a lot of emotions involved. I started with him since I was 13. So it was hard. It was really hard. I lost a lot of people along the way that I loved, that I really had an emotional attachment to. But at the same time, I asked myself, do you want to be where you're at, or do you want to get better? There's always going to be a sacrifice. You need to make a sacrifice. I feel like my sacrifice I make is commuting and just dedicating the drive just to learn what I'm learning. And what I can say is it's all paying off. Everything's paid off. I'm constantly learning and getting better. And like I said, I've had knockouts all my fights with Gabe Flores except this last fight. The ability and skills that I know now, it's just so different from before. I feel like the new Andy would have knocked out the old Andy easy, But no, every fight we go into and just set up everything behind the jab and we work off that. But I feel our style is we're constantly adapting every second of the fight. It's just a matter of time before we knock somebody out. Sometimes it happens quicker than others. I feel that a lot of my fights have been on knockouts because a lot of these guys want to win. So by them wanting to win, they tend to take risks, and we capitalize a lot. I feel like my last opponent survived because he wasn't willing to engage. So I was having to press the fight, but he didn't really give me too many openings. He just went in there trying to survive. But when I have guys that are in there trying to win against me, I knock them out because I feel like my will and my focus to win is much more than them. So.
Northern California, man, most of your fights have been on that side of the state. That area has so much talent, but it seemed like for a long time they weren't being pushed, like they should have been. So there hasn't been a lot of names that have come out in the recent past. But you having that on your shoulders, does that put a little more pressure to you because, everybody's expecting this Northern California fighter to really come up?
I wouldn't feel pressure, but I do feel that a lot of people are behind me on this move that I'm trying to make happen. But I feel things have happened for a reason, the way they're happening, and I feel I'm going to be the next star coming out of Northern California. I feel I'm very, very dedicated, and my work ethic is like no other. But no, it's not too much pressure. I just go in there and listen to Gabe and do what I've done in practice, and I'm so comfortable with everything I'm learning. It seems like second nature.
You're 15-0, and you just came out this fight with Yardley Suarez. You were out there of that card of the solo boxeo just about a week ago. What did you think of that style? He was a Mexican fighter, southpaw, and you dominated him like nothing, shut him out pretty much. What did you think of that fight?
It was a great fight. It was, I haven't been past 5 rounds, so it was just a great experience, being able to go those 8 rounds and knowing myself mentally that I don't get tired in a fight. It's second nature to me. It feels normal. It feels like home when I'm in there. But his style was very I feel he just fought me to kind of just get by, and just he was happy with getting by every round. I felt like it was because of me that the fight was exciting. I could have easily tried to box him and countered, but it would have been so boring. I feel nobody would have really caught an eye out for me. But I tried. I pressed him the whole fight. I feel there's a lot of things that I could have done and I should have worked, should have done. But everything's a learning experience. I feel I'm gonna go back to the gym and work on so many things. There's just a lot of things. A lot of people say you got a great style, you got this, I got that. I have a great style, but I feel there's so many more things to learn that could make me that much better that I could have done. That fight kind of threw me off. He came in there as a southpaw. We had seen film on him that he was a right-hander, so all my sparring was right-handers. I didn't have no southpaw sparring. I think I just sparred one southpaw once just to keep busy, but that wasn't the focus. So going into that first round, as soon as the bell rang and he stood southpaw, it kind of shocked me. But it's just I feel that was a big factor in why I wasn't able to stop him or knock him out. Various times I did hurt him, but I was a little off on following up because of the distance and the rhythm. I hadn't trained for a south. We hadn't trained for a south. I mean, we do train for southpaws, but that wasn't our focus for this fight. So him coming into the southpaw, I think that was I think it did throw me off a little bit. But like I said, overall, it was just a good experience. I feel he came in shape to run and just get by. He took a good shot and he was able to survive.
Your name El Tiburon, meaning the shark in English. San Jose, they have a professional hockey team named the Sharks. Is that how you got your name?
Gabe Flores actually gave me that name. And for both, there was actually two reasons. Because we're the town of the San Jose Sharks, the hockey team, and he also said your style is like a shark. When you smell blood and you know they're hurt, you go in for the kill. You're smooth, you're calm, but when you smell your opponent hurt, you go for the kill. Just like a shark, when he smells blood, he just instantly attacks and kills.
And actually, it's kind of Gabe's fault. Like you said, you started getting all the knockouts, and that's when when you got with him, and that's when you started really smelling the blood and going for it. So in a way, it's probably it is because of him, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm not wild or all crazy. I'm smooth, calm. But as soon as I hurt somebody, I do go in for the kill. So I think it goes perfectly.
You had a big day last year when you signed on with Top Rank. What was that?
Right.
What was that like for you? What was that whole experience of just getting that call, and finding this out that they want to sign you on? How did that make you feel personally?
I mean, that was actually one of my goals before the year ended, before we hit 2016, was to get signed, and it happened 4 or 5 months sooner. So it was a blessing. It was a goal checked off of my checklist. I feel like the way to the top is you got to climb the ladder, baby steps. You can't just jump for a world title. First you got to win fights, then you got to get signed. So that was really one of my biggest things, was I wanted to get signed. So getting signed, especially the Top Rank, one of the best in history, having them behind me now, I feel like now the doors are open. Before I had to create those openings, and I feel I still do have to create the openings, but now I feel like there's more doors open here and there where I'm going to be offered opportunities. And now my job is to just be a professional and just be ready and on my game every day.
You just had a fight, so you're probably not exactly sure what's next, but in the next, maybe let's say year and a half, what do you see yourself accomplishing, during that time?
I think in the next year and a half, I'd say I'd be fighting for some title, whether it's NABF or some title. I feel like God has our destiny already planned. Our future's already planned. Whether we're going to be a champion or not, it's already laid out. It's just up to us to stick to what we're doing. But I feel as long as I don't get, no cuts during fights, I feel like that would slow me down, because then you got to wait 3 months before you fight again. But if things go, as planned every time I fight, in a year and a half, yeah, I think, if you said a year, maybe I'd be like, maybe not. But a year and a half, I think I should be fighting for something big.
Before you walk out those drapes and go onto the ring, I'm sure you're going to have what I call the 3 big F's on your mind: your family, your friends, your fans. What are you planning to give them every time you go out there to the ring before a fight?
Oh, just excitement, focus, power, speed, and just a pure technician in the ring, adapting to anything that happens in the ring and presents itself to me. I feel I'm very different than other fighters, and my style is just so exciting. You can put me in with a boring fighter, and I'll make it exciting. You can put me in with an exciting fighter, and I'll make it the fight of the night. They can expect just the best in boxing, you know. But yeah,
And maybe in the next year or so, I'll be moving back to Northern California to Chico to be with my kids again. But and you'll be making us proud. And amigo, thank you very much for coming out to the boxingbar.com. It was a pleasure to have you on. Finally, get to talk to you and get to know a little bit about you. And I appreciate it very much, brother.
no, no worries. I appreciate you too. God bless you and your kids, and I hope you have a great day.